What's up, YouTube? Body by Brian Fitness here. Just wanted to ask you a really quick question. How many of you have seen the people that have been are huge weightlifting fans or love working out? How many of you have seen the movie Pumping Iron? I've seen it multiple times, more times than I could possibly imagine. It's got to be over 10 times I've seen the movie. It's just I've seen it that much. Yeah, I don't have a life. I was just wondering, the people that have watched that movie and are very inspired by it, how has that movie inspired you? Now, granted, I mean, that movie came out in 1977, uh, 37 years ago, but still to this day, a lot of people are inspired by that movie. I for one, am definitely inspired by it. I watched it last night for the first time in a while, and I got hooked right away. I mean, I'm probably gonna watch it again today, and maybe again tomorrow, and again on Sunday too. I don't. But how has that movie inspired you guys? I'm really curious about that. Um, does it like motivate you to train harder? Does it? Because I mean, there's a lot of people to look up to in that movie. Lou Ferrigno, like the guys I mentioned in my second video. Lou Ferrigno, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mike Katz, Serge Bray, all those guys. How has that movie inspired you? To me, there's a lot of key elements in that movie that really inspired me. Number one, I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger's in there. You know, it was his last Mr. Olympia. It was, 7-time Mr. Olympia. He was a huge part of that movie. He was the main star of it. Um, he's the man. What can I say? There's not much, to talk about. Him and Lou Ferrigno were the main stars of that whole movie, and Arnold Schwarzenegger pulled a lot of pranks on Arnold or Lou Ferrigno, um, quite a bit in that movie. He tried to psych him out all the time, tried to get into his head a lot. He acted like a real ass in that movie, but I mean, just little things like that, the pranks, especially the one that comes to mind with Mike Katz when he got his blue T-shirt stolen in the gym. You know, those little pranks that they pull in that movie. There's a reason behind it, obviously. And to people that might not get it, the reason behind that is to really focus on your training and to not worry about the outside world. Things that get to you. Working out is the most important thing. The stuff that happens in the outside world, the small things, you don't need to worry about that. There's no reason to. Like that one example that Arnold gave, where he said, if I'm working out in the gym and my car gets stolen, I don't have time to worry about that stuff. Training is his main focus. And that one story, I don't know if you guys ever caught this, but that one story that he gave in that movie where he said that his mom called him a couple days before the competition, and she said, "Your father died," and he was being really cold, so to speak, in that whole scene when he basically told his mom that, you know, so he's dead. There's nothing really to be done. What else do you want me to say? He never showed up to his father's funeral. And the reason he said that was to prove a point that training meant so much to him. Obviously, that was a really harsh thing to say. I mean, that's your dad that died, but he, you know, that's just one of the many examples of Arnold being the way that he is, I guess. It's, you know, and then there's that other scene that really sticks out in my mind with Lou Ferrigno and his dad saying, you know, my son will never achieve anything in life. He will never amount to any. I thought that was really sad considering I have certain problems myself. And he said that, you know, my son will never amount to anything. My son is uh, coach of X team or whatever, you know, my son does this and my son does that, and look at my son, he does this. And then Lou's dad says, well, look at my son, this and this. And he just felt, you know, sad that he had that that ear infection that made him deaf, and said because of his hearing problem he will never amount to anything. And that really, you know, lowered Lou's self-esteem quite a bit, to have a dad that never supported you in anything that you did because of your handicap problem. I thought that was really crappy. But um, part of me believes that that clip of Lou and his dad are actually true to a certain extent, because you watch videos, interview videos of Lou Ferrigno on YouTube, um, so like 20, 30 years later, and he still says that and you can tell in his voice, in Lou's voice, that he was very upset with his dad that he cut him down so much because of his handicap problem. He just didn't he didn't appreciate what his dad did, constantly cutting him down and making him feel like crap. It just wasn't. He basically said, you know, I'm going to prove everything wrong to you, and I'm going to be more successful than you've ever been. Kind of a bad father-son relationship there. And then they had the character Mike Katz, who was a junior high school teacher. Um, he was more of a from as far as his personality goes, um, more. I'm not sure how you would call it. He's more sensitive to certain things. I mean, he got picked on a lot for being Jewish, and you know, people, because he went to a Catholic school or a Jewish school, and he said that, you know, people would pick on him saying, because he wore glasses, and he said, you know, hey, four eyes, hey, cross eyes, hey, you got, you know, rusty fenders on your bicycle, or your bike isn't as good as our bike, or hey, Jew boy, or all these other things that really cut him down. So Mike Katz and Lou Ferrigno both, in a sense, were picked on a lot. Um, Out of that whole movie, I think Serge Nubret wasn't really picked on at all, but those two in particular were picked on the most. And the difference between those two is Lou Ferrigno is a very uh, he's a more personal individual. Um, he lets people's words get to him a lot, and like Arnold tried to do in that movie, he tried to psych him out with his typical tactics that he did in that movie. And Mike Katz, he seemed to brush it off easily. It never bothered him that much. You know, he still um he still seemed to just do what he did, and just he made the most of it. You know, he never let people's words get to him. And then um one thing, one other character, I gotta stop saying characters, bodybuilder that was in that movie that was really close with Arnold. Um, Gosh, I can't think of his name. Um, he was the he was a shorter bodybuilder. Um, oh my gosh, I can't think of it. He was close friends with Arnold, and he seemed to put all his Arnold seemed to put all his trust into that person more than anyone else. You know, they were very tight. You know, they were very close, and they never they're still friends to this very day. Um, Man, I still can't think of his name. I feel so stupid now. But those two were very close, and he seemed Arnold seemed very selective as to who he wanted in his clique, so to speak. You know, too, in that movie, he never really wanted to be friends with it. I mean, he was a ladies' man, obviously, in that movie. Women flocked to him all the time, and like once he started winning all those contests, he really became mainstream. Everyone was asking, how much, what kind of diet does he have, or and stuff like that. And there was one funny scene in particular where he's talking to a bunch of fans, and he said, does he drink skim milk, or does what kind of milk he drinks? And Arnold's like, milk is for babies. When you grow up, you got to drink beer. I thought that was really funny. Um, yeah, Arnold was a character in that movie. He was really funny. I got about three more minutes left in this video. Um, so yeah, I thought that movie was really funny. And then that movie that came out, I'm kind of getting off topic here once again, but that Stand Tall movie with Lou Ferrigno, it's just like Pumping Iron, except the main star is Lou Ferrigno. It came out in 1996 or 97, about 20 years after Pumping Iron came out. And his thing, Lou Ferrigno is obviously the main star, and he was going to go for the Masters Olympia. And try to cut this story short here. Basically, like he didn't he won second place in the Masters Olympia. It focused a lot around his hearing disability, and he talked about his dad, and see the thing with I think Stand Tall hits me emotionally more than the other video of Pumping Iron, because I can relate to it, because I have certain problems myself. I'll probably get into that later on. I have a short-term memory problem, but I think uh, with Lou Ferrigno in that movie, he said weightlifting um, really helped him cope with his problem, and I think that could be an inspiration to anybody. You could find anything that you know that helps you cope with any kind of problem in life. It's a huge bonus, I think, in your favor. I really think that. Um, yeah, I'm kind of getting off topic again, but I just wanted to talk about that Pumping Iron movie and just say how inspirational that movie was. If you've ever seen that movie, I highly recommend it. It's really good. Talk to you soon.